Lily and her younger brother Ben drove through the thick pine forest, the fading light casting long shadows across the narrow road. Their destination was their family's old summer home, a place they hadn't visited in years since their parents died in a tragic accident. Now, with their 18th and 21st birthdays behind them, they were finally returning to handle the estate, closing a chapter of their lives that had remained in the dark. The house sat in a clearing, its wooden exterior weathered and cracked as if the forest had been slowly reclaiming it. The place had always made Lily feel uneasy, but she had never been able to pinpoint why. Maybe it was the stories their parents told them as kids, stories of strange noises at night and shadowy figures glimpsed from the windows. As they parked and approached the house, Ben glanced nervously at the towering trees surrounding them. "You ever wonder why Mom and Dad never took us back here after we turned 8? He asked, breaking the heavy silence. Lily shook her head, though the question had haunted her too. Their parents had been adamant about leaving the place behind, and they had never fully explained why. Now, standing at the threshold of the house, Lily felt the air grow colder. Inside, the house was as they remembered it, dusty, dim, with the faint scent of pine sap. But there was something different, something heavier in the air. As they explored, Lily found herself drawn to a large, old painting that hung in the hallway. It depicted a group of children playing outside the house, their faces oddly familiar. But as she looked closer, she realized something horrifying. The children in the painting had no eyes. The first night in the house was restless. The wind howled through the trees outside, and the floorboards creaked with every gust. But it wasn't the wind that kept Lily awake. Around midnight, she began hearing soft footsteps in the hallway outside her room. At first, she assumed it was Ben, but when she called his name, there was no answer. Lily got up and cautiously opened the door. The hallway was empty, but the sound of footsteps continued, light and rhythmic, as if a child were walking back and forth just beyond the bend. Her heart raced as she slowly made her way down the corridor. The sound grew louder, but as she rounded the corner, she saw nothing but shadows. Then, just as she was about to turn back, a soft giggle echoed from the end of the hall, near the stairs that led up to the attic. She froze. "Ben?" she called again, her voice trembling. No answer. But the giggle repeated, more insistent this time. It was a child's laugh, unmistakably. Her stomach twisted as the memories of their parents' warnings about the attic flooded her mind. Lily rushed back to her room and slammed the door shut, her mind racing. Who or what was in the house with them? The next morning, she confronted Ben about the noises, but he swore he had slept through the night. "It's probably just the old house settling," he said, though his face betrayed his uncertainty. But Lily wasn't convinced. There was something in the house, something that wasn't supposed to be there. Later that day, while searching through the house's cluttered storage, Ben came across a collection of dusty journals, all belonging to their mother. Most were filled with mundane details about daily life at the summer home until the last few entries, where the tone shifted drastically. "The children keep appearing," one entry read. "I thought they were just nightmares, but I see them even when I'm awake now. They won't stop asking for help. They say they're trapped here." Lily's hands trembled as she read the entries aloud. Each journal page became more frantic, more desperate. Their mother had been haunted by the presence of ghostly children, their voices calling to her, pleading to be freed. "There's something wrong with this house, Ben," Lily whispered. "Mom knew it. Dad knew it too." As they continued reading, a final passage stood out. "The children in the painting, I can't look at them anymore. Their eyes, they watch me even though they have none." Chills ran down Lily's spine. She glanced toward the hallway where the eyeless children's painting still hung. Suddenly, everything clicked into place, the strange noises, the eerie laughter, the feeling of being watched. The children in the painting were the same children their mother had written about, and they were still here. That night, the footsteps and giggling returned, louder and more persistent. But this time, the giggles were joined by whispers. Faint but distinct. "Come play with us." Determined to find answers, Lily and Ben decided to confront whatever was haunting the house. Armed with flashlights, they headed up to the attic, where the sounds seemed to originate. As they ascended the creaky staircase, The temperature dropped, and the air grew thick with an oppressive silence. At the top, the attic was dimly lit by the fading daylight coming through the small window. Old furniture and forgotten boxes lined the walls, but in the center of the room stood something that sent a jolt of terror through both of them. A small group of ghostly children, standing perfectly still, their pale, eyeless faces turned toward the siblings. "We've been waiting," one of them whispered, his voice cold and hollow. Lily's breath caught in her throat. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice barely audible. A girl stepped forward, her empty eye sockets somehow locking onto Lily's. "We were left behind," she said, "forgotten. Your family promised to help us, but they never did." Ben took a step back, panic rising in his chest. "What do you mean?" The girl's face twisted into a sad smile. "We need a way out, and for that, someone must stay." The room grew colder, and the children's whispers swirled around them like a chorus of the damned. "Stay with us, just one, and we'll be free." Lily's mind raced as she realized the terrible truth. The house wasn't haunted by random spirits. The ghost children were trapped here because of a dark family secret, something their parents had been too afraid to reveal. The only way to free them was for one of the living to take their place. Tears filled Lily's eyes as she looked at Ben. "We can't both leave," she whispered. The children's voices grew louder. "One must stay. One must stay." Ben shook his head, refusing to believe what was happening. But before he could react, the children closed in, their ghostly hands reaching out, cold and unforgiving. Lily pushed him toward the door, her voice choked with emotion. "Go, Ben! I'll keep them here! You have to get out!" "No!" Ben cried, but it was too late. The attic door slammed shut behind him as he stumbled down the stairs, leaving Lily behind with the whispering spirits. As Ben reached the bottom floor, he heard the children's laughter echoing from above, followed by a chilling silence. He ran out of the house, the weight of his sister's sacrifice pressing down on him. And as he looked back at the house one last time, he heard it. Lily's voice, faint and distant, calling to him from the attic.